Hello horror movie lovers, I'm Trenton and I love movies just like you. So I'm about to watch The Last Matinee and I'm pretty excited. I don't know much about this movie, all I know is that it's a slash movie where the main setting is a movie theater and that's about it. Fingers crossed, hopefully it's good, but I want to experience this movie and what it has to offer, so let's press play and watch The Last Matinee.
So everyone's entitled to one good scare.
So I just watched The Last Matinee and it was fun. On a stormy night in Montevideo, an engineering student named Anna takes over the duties of her father, a projectionist at a declining movie theater due to his ill health. But unbeknownst to her, the audience watching the film that she's running starts being murdered by a crazed killer. These videos have a certain structure, starting off with characters, story, cinematography, effects, tone, and pacing. After that, I get into spoiler territory with the plot breakdown of how the movie plays out, as well as my thoughts during certain scenes. Then, at the end, I tell y'all my favorite scene, my least favorite scene, my favorite kill, and least favorite kill. Don't worry, I will give you a warning before we enter spoiler territory, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Let's start off with the characters. They're really unlikable and probably the only real negative I have for this movie. The only likable character is the main character, which is pretty much how any other slasher movie is and is kind of expected to be. But when I say the supporting characters are annoying, I mean it. Maybe it's the fact that they weren't abiding by movie theater rules, talking, smoking, being on their phones, and distracting other moviegoers who are trying to enjoy the movie, which is very triggering. But wow, the supporting characters were obnoxious and were really pissing me off. The story is pretty simple and straightforward to how many other slasher movies go. We're introduced to our main character, Anna, but we don't really follow her for majority of the movie. We mainly follow the victims, and then towards the third act, she becomes aware of what's happening and fights back. Pretty generic slasher movie formula. The cinematography is definitely the highlight of this movie. It is so fucking gorgeous. Like almost every shot is beautiful and perfectly crafted, especially towards the beginning. The wide shots, the scenery, the movie theater vibes were just amazing. There is definitely a heavy giallo inspiration. There'll be shots that are dull in color, mainly in the movie theater auditorium, that contrast scenes with lots of vibrant neon colors, mainly outside of the movie theater auditorium, giving me heavy Suspiria vibes when it comes to the color palette. The effects were definitely another highlight of this movie. Lots of practical effects. I don't even remember seeing any CGI or VFX in the movie. It was all practical, which was really refreshing to see and felt very authentic. The tone was very simple and had a pretty generic slasher movie tone. There were surprisingly a lot of comedic, awkward scenes that were actually pretty funny, but it didn't distract from the overall suspenseful, darker tone. The pacing was also another highlight of the movie. The movie was roughly under 90 minutes, so it didn't take long for shit to go down. The first kill happened surprisingly quickly, and after that, the kills start happening pretty rapidly. Not a huge body count, but definitely worth the watch. I give this movie a 7 out of 10. Definitely worth watching. Now, the plot breakdown, obviously spoilers ahead, so watch The Last Matinee if you haven't already, then come back to the video, or if you simply just don't care about spoilers, keep watching. The movie starts off with 14 production logos. Normally, I don't acknowledge the amount of production logos, but when I first watched this, it felt unbelievably long. Watching them, I was like, when the fuck is the movie going to start? Anyways, the actual movie starts off with this beautiful shot of a boat. I'm definitely going to acknowledge some of the beautiful shots in this movie because once again, the cinematography is the movie's biggest highlight. There's various other shots of random scenery, I'm guessing to highlight the atmosphere of this small town. We then see a man in his car eating something out of a jar, which is one of, if not the most disturbing scene in the movie. Like, ew, gross. I have no idea what the fuck that is, but it's gross. Get it off the screen. The nasty man eating that unknown substance out of a jar exits his car and enters the theater. In the theater, we see a child with gumballs and his clumsy ass drops them down the stairs. The nasty man that ate an unknown substance out of a jar picks up one gumball and gives it back to the child. What was the point of that? You see the child drop 30 plus gumballs on the floor and you decide to help by picking up one of the 30 plus gumballs. I don't know if it's just me, but I would find that incredibly insulting. The child dropping his gumballs is subtle foreshadowing of what's to come. Don't worry, don't worry. The nasty man that ate an unknown substance out of a jar enters the auditorium where we're greeted with this beautiful shot. Oh my God. We see one of the movie theater workers escorting the children out of the auditorium, but one kid decides to hide under the seat to sneak into another showing. We are then introduced to our main protagonist, Anna, who has a conversation with the lady at the ticket booth. She's here to stand in for her ill father, who is a projectionist. Anna calls her father a cab and he leaves the establishment. We are then introduced to our supporting characters, or shall I say victims. I honestly don't feel the need to say their names because it honestly doesn't matter, so I'll refer to them as the couple, the teenagers, and the child. Blah blah blah, there's banter between the couple and the teenagers. Now let's get to the good stuff. While the audience is watching the movie Frankenstein of the Dead, the nasty man that ate an unknown substance out of a jar sneaks up behind one of the elderly moviegoers and suffocates him. Turns out that the nasty man that ate an unknown substance out of a jar is the killer, which is pretty understandable. Anybody that eats random substances out of jars are obviously killers, and that's not up for debate. The movie theater worker goes on a quick little smoke break, then out of nowhere, the killer sneaks up on him mid-exhale, covers his mouth, and slits his throat, which results in him exhaling out of his slit wound. Stealthy, stealthy boy. The killer then locks the remaining moviegoers inside of the theater. One of the teenagers notices that a girl that he saw earlier that day at a bus station is attending the same movie as him and calls it fate and thinks it's a sign that they should be together. Okay. So he shoots his shot and it works, surprisingly. Anyways, the other couple gets bored with the movie and the woman gives the guy a hand. Wow. Wink, wink. We cut back to the teenager shooting his shot. They start making out, then the killer impales the teenagers with a metal rod through both of their heads. Double penetration? The man that got a hand finishes and the child is pissing himself. The man that finished and the child that pissed himself stumble across one another in the bathroom and have an awkward interaction, to say the least. That child is so fucking weird. The man that finished tries to clean himself up in the bathroom and is rudely interrupted by the killer, who knocks him out and stabs him in the heart. The killer returns to the auditorium and just flat out stabs the woman that gave the guy a hand in the heart as well. If you made it this far, you must be enjoying something about the video, so why not subscribe to my channel for more videos from me and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video if you haven't already. And in the future, if you come to the conclusion that you don't like my videos anymore, you can unsubscribe. If you want, I won't be mad. I promise. Angela, the girl in the teenager friend group, notices that her friend and the girl he was shooting his shot with haven't moved in a while, goes to check on them and realizes that they're dead. The killer hears Angela's screams and starts to chase after her. The guy with glasses in the teenager friend group tries to help but falls down the stairs and gets stabbed repeatedly by the killer. Angela's just there screaming, watching her friend get brutally murdered. Like why are you not running? You standing there is not helping whatsoever. Eventually, Angela decides to run and is greeted by a locked gate, the one that the killer locked after killing the movie theater worker. Anna, our protagonist in case you forgot, finally finds the dead bodies of the moviegoers. I'm honestly surprised she didn't find them sooner. Like, they were there the whole time in unnatural positions. Like, come on now. While Anna is witnessing the carnage that took place in the auditorium under her supervision, Angela is banging on the gate trying to get someone's attention until the killer finds her and menacingly walks slowly towards her. Angela notices there's a fire extinguisher next to her and uses it to defend herself, spraying at the killer and beating him across the head with it. Angela runs into Anna in the auditorium and teams up against the killer. The killer grabs hold of Anna, but Angela beats the killer once again across the head, knocking him out this time. Anna and Angela escape the auditorium and lock the killer inside. They try to find a phone to call the police, and Anna realizes the only accessible phone at the moment is in the ticket booth that is locked. Anna is trying to unlock the door with the keys, but Angela is in emotional distress after witnessing her friends get killed and couldn't wait for Anna to unlock the door, so she decides to throw the fire extinguisher through the window to the ticket booth. They then realize that Angela's dumbass threw the fire extinguisher at the wrong spot and it ended up breaking the phone in the ticket booth. Anna realizes that there's actually another working phone in the projection room, so they head there. Oh shit, the child. I completely forgot they basically locked the kid in there with the killer. Well, the child is getting chased by the killer in the auditorium. It's pretty suspenseful and a pretty good chase scene, but to be honest, I didn't really care whether or not the child lived or died. I found this character annoying even though he didn't really have any dialogue. Maybe it's just the fact that it's a child, I don't know. Anna unfortunately saves the child just in time and stabs the killer in the eye with a shard of glass. Anna, Angela, and the child flee to the projection room to access the phone and call the police. The killer breaks through the door in the projection room where Anna, Angela, and the child currently are. The killer showcases his collection of eyes and proceeds to eat one. Okay. Anna and the child flee from the killer successfully, but Angela is left behind for some reason and doesn't even try to follow them. She looks for another way out when she could have easily followed Anna and the child to safety, but she doesn't, which ultimately results in her getting her head smashed in with the projector lid and dying. Anna and the child go back to the auditorium to get a weapon just in case the killer attacks again. Her weapon of choice is oddly the one that the killer used to skewer those kissing teenagers. Odd. They head towards the gate, and by no surprise, the killer attacks again, slicing Anna in the back. The killer directs his attention to the child with the intent to kill. Not surprisingly, Anna stabs the killer through the chest with the metal rod she picked up. The killer drops his collection of eyes, and they bounce down the stairs, resembling the gumballs the child dropped at the beginning of the movie. The cops arrive, Anna and the child hug, and the movie ends with one eye staring directly at the child, most likely scarring the child for life. My favorite scene would have to be the scene where Anna realized she locked the child in the auditorium with the killer, and it cuts to the child getting chased. I don't know, that was so funny to me. Like, when I was watching the movie, I literally bursted into laughter. That was so funny to me. My least favorite scene would have to be the nasty man eating whatever the fuck was in that jar at the beginning of the movie. I just, like, ew, like, it just felt unnecessarily gross. Like, the close-up is just ew. My favorite kill would probably have to be the double penetration kill. I mean, the kills were pretty average in this movie, just lots of like stabbings and stuff, but that one was unique and just kind of cute. And my least favorite kill would have to be the random elderly moviegoer that got smothered by the killer. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. That was the lamest kill, I guess. Again, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos from me, and make sure to hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Alright, horror movie lovers, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.